Hey guys, it's Joe from American Trucks, and today we're going to be talking about the Barricade HD off-road rear bumper fitting all 14 to 18 Silverado 1500s. Now this is going to be a great option for you if you're looking for a budget-friendly and off-road capable rear bumper that is going to add a lot of presence to the rear of your Silverado. So let's start off the video here diving into what this rear bumper is made out of, and that is heavy-duty 5/32 inch steel plate. We're gonna get this side by side next to the factory bumper in just a second here so you can see just how much this is gonna be an improvement over it, but suffice to say, that 5/32 steel plate is gonna be a huge upgrade in durability, and this thing has the looks to match. It's finished in that two-stage durable black powder coating, which is not just there to add to the looks, it's also there to serve as a layer of protection over top of that steel to protect against the elements. Now, as a package, I really think this thing comes together really well. There's not a 90-degree angle on this thing, except for, I guess, these cutouts for LED lights, but it all comes together really nicely. It really gives you that sort of stealth fighter look with that flat black powder coating on there, and I really think it looks great on our gray 16 Silverado. Now, speaking about that, this bumper is perfectly designed for some aftermarket lighting. There is none included in the kit. You just get these filler grates instead, but if you did have some light cubes you wanted to throw in here, the brackets are ready to go for you to install those so you can get some more utility out of this rear bumper. This bumper also has a lot of features to it which are inspired by the factory rear bumper. You can see these cutouts on either end, the steps for easy access into the bed. You get to keep those, and there's even a little bit of grating in there to make sure you don't slip off, and they're made out of steel. Again, a huge upgrade over the factory plastic steps. This bumper is also hitch capable, so if you do have a receiver, that would mount right up right where you would expect it to be, and you get a relocation bracket for the trailer plug that would mount up to this bumper right about here. Another great feature from the factory rear bumper, if you do have proximity sensors, those will transfer right over. You can see the 4 pre-drilled holes across the back here. If you don't have those, which we don't, they give you 4 plugs instead, so you can at least clean up the look by filling those holes. You also get a brand new license plate light right there. Now that will need to be hardwired. We're gonna show you how that's done in just a second here, but suffice to say, you will need just a tiny bit of wiring knowledge necessary to get that up and running, and that will make this bumper street legal, so you're gonna need to bring that wiring knowledge. Also, speaking about the license plate, you do get 2 pre-drilled holes right there and right there to mount up your license plate. Now, one gripe I do have with this rear bumper is this is effectively going to delete the lock for the spare tire. Anybody could get in and drop your spare tire down with this rear bumper. If that is a worry to you, it will probably be a good idea to stay away from this one. However, I have to be honest, most of the rear bumpers out there for this generation of Silverado do delete that spare tire lock. So moving right along to pricing, we're looking right around the $700 mark for this whole setup. Basically all the hardware you need, mounting brackets, the light, the filler plates for the LED cube lights, and that is gonna make this one of the most budget-friendly rear bumpers we have on the website. And gripes aside, I do definitely think you are getting your money's worth with this one, and this is a stylish, off-road capable and durable rear bumper. Now the install for this one, I'm gonna give a solid 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. Now there's a couple of reasons for that. First of which, this thing is pretty heavy. I recommend having a buddy on hand and a case of beer just to make the install go a little bit smoother. Secondly, again, we are gonna have to hardwire that license plate light. And thirdly, I know this is gonna sound a little bit difficult, but trust me, we're gonna show you how this is done in just a second here. But in order to get the factory rear bumper off, we're gonna have to unbolt the bed of our truck from the frame. We're also gonna jack it up just an inch or 2 so we can get the factory rear bumper off the truck. Again, I'm gonna show you how that works in just a second here. All in all, I think you can get this job done in about 2-3 hours if you come with the right tools. So without any further ado, let me show you what tools you'll need and how it's done. Tools required for this install are going to include an impact, U-joint, ratchet, extension, basic socket set ranging from 22 millimeters all the way down to 10, a wrench set ranging from 21 all the way down to 10, the Allen keys which come included in the kit, and some wiring stuff such as wire strippers, I use some spade connectors. You could also use vampire clips as well as some channel locks to crimp those down. So before we do anything on this truck, one thing I would highly recommend doing here, drop the spare tire out of the way. This is gonna give you a lot more room to work underneath of your Silverado here, and that's definitely a must do before you touch any hardware on your truck. Now, another thing we're gonna have to do before we touch any hardware is we're gonna have to crawl underneath and disconnect some of our electronics so this bumper can come off without pulling on any of the electrics. First thing we're gonna disconnect, this is basically a master plug. This is gonna go to both of the license plate lights, so it's easier to disconnect here than it is to disconnect at the license plate lights. And what we're gonna do is pull down on that red tab there, and then you can push this in, and that should release the two, and you can separate. Next up is gonna be the trailer plug. We're just gonna pull on this gray tab, similar to the other one, and then we can press in, and that'll disconnect that. Next up here, like I said earlier, we're gonna have to disconnect the bed in order to get our bumper off. And in this shot, you can see it clearly. It's this lip right here is basically going to hit this piece of metal that goes all the way across. And in order to get it past that, we're gonna have to unbolt the bed and basically lift up on this thing so that is going to clear. And what we're gonna do here, take our 18mm socket and an extension. We're just gonna come up through the frame and loosen up these bolts. We're gonna hit this one and then this one over here as well, then do the same thing on the other side. So with the bed effectively disconnected at the back two bolts only, we're gonna come over to the side of our frame rail. This is all the way at the rear. We're gonna trade our extension for a U-joint. These two nuts right here are 18mm. We're gonna remove those. Over here is a 15. We're gonna get that out of the way as well. With those nuts removed, you can pull out this bolt plate, then swap over to the 15 for that last bolt. Now we're gonna come over to the other side and do the same thing. Next up, we can focus on this 21mm hardware here. We're gonna loosen that up on both sides, and then we should be able to crank up on the bed and then pull our bumper straight off. Now for this bolt over here, you will need a 21mm wrench to hold the bolt head still, as well as a 21mm socket for the nut. And that is a little bit stuck right now, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take the bolt out on this side. You can see our bumper's loose, however, it is pushing on that thread. Pull this back, push up on that bolt, and you should be able to remove that as well. Now, the bumper isn't gonna go anywhere. Again, it's gonna get caught on that lip I showed you earlier. Until we push the bed up, we're gonna have to wait to take this off. So we're gonna hit the other side, lift the bed up, clear that lip, and then remove the bumper. So to lift the bed up, you can see I'm gonna be using a pole jack here. Now, if you don't have one of these, you're in a pinch. The way that I've done this before is you just lay on your back underneath the truck and you can basically leg press the bed up. That'll give you enough clearance you need to get this bumper out, because the way this sits right now is if you pull on this thing, you're just gonna get stuck right there on both sides. So you wanna make sure if your truck is jacked up that it's nice and secure. If you are gonna use a jack like this one, if you're going the leg press route, you should be just fine since the truck is on the ground, but the bed actually isn't that heavy. So what we're gonna do, jack it up here just enough, less than an inch we're probably gonna need to get this bumper off, and then we can pull the thing off. Now that's pretty much everything you need to install on this thing to at least get it up onto the truck. Again, if you want your trailer plug, you can install those brackets. Also, if you have LED light cubes, you can swap out those plates with the actual lights themselves. And we're gonna wait until we go back to the truck on that spare tire tube guide. So since this is fully built, I figured now would be the perfect time to sit it next to our factory rear bumper and point out some of the key differences between the two. The first one, it's gonna be the biggest one. It's gonna be the upgrade in the looks department. Now, obviously, if you're going for the blackout look, this is gonna be a huge upgrade for you over that chrome, that plastic, that factory style rear bumper. This is really gonna add to the presence of the rear of your truck. So it has the looks, but does it have the build quality over the factory rear bumper? And the answer is yes. Again, we got that thin chrome on there with the plastic. We're ditching all that for some heavy duty 5/32 inch steel plate. That's gonna provide the durability you need whether you're on the trail or you're at the work site. This is gonna be, again, a huge upgrade in presence and durability for the rear of your truck. Now, one of the biggest extra features on this thing is that it is ready to go for some aftermarket LED cube lights. Like I said earlier, if you do have those ready to go in, you could swap out those plates for the lights and you're pretty much good to go. All the brackets you'll need to mount up lights are already onto this thing and ready to go for you. Now, what I think really sets this thing over the top is just how many factory features you get to keep from that factory rear bumper. Just to run through the list here, if your truck does have a hitch, that'll transfer right over with this bumper. Obviously, you get to keep the trailer plug as well. Those steps on the side of the bumper for easy bed access, obviously we're keeping those. We got the pre-drilled holes for the proximity sensors. You can transfer those right over as well. You get a brand new license plate light with this thing. We're gonna show you how to wire that up in just a minute here, but basically that's to make sure that this is street legal. And also you have two pre-drilled holes right here and right here that are perfect for mounting up a license plate. Now, as a package, this bumper is a great deal. There's a lot of features on here you get to keep, a lot of new features, and you get the build quality and the looks too. So all around, a really great addition to any 14 to 18 Silverado. So now we got a little bit of prep work to do over on our truck. We're going to install that spare tire tube guide, so you're gonna need to bring that with you, as well as the mounting brackets. We're gonna mount those up and bolt them to the frame. Then we can hang this bumper up and tighten it down. As far as this guy goes, we're just gonna slide that on like so. We're gonna leave that sit there until later just because it's easier to put that on the bumper once the bumper is installed to the truck. Now that brings us to the more important portion here. That's gonna be our mounting bracket. You wanna make sure you grab the right one. You can see this one is marked with a P for passenger side, and that is basically gonna sit in the frame rail just like so. So in order to attach this with the first bolt, which is gonna be the smallest, you wanna come all the way up to this top position. That's gonna take the 16mm bolt head. And then on the other side here, we're going to install our flat washer, as well as a 17mm nut. For the second bolt here, basically what we're gonna do is come to this position right here. This is gonna be the medium-sized bolt. That is going to be an 18mm bolt head, and it's going to install on the other side with a 19mm nut. For the third bolt, we're gonna come to this lowest position here. This is gonna be the biggest of the three. That's gonna be a 21mm bolt head, and on this side, a 22mm nut. We're gonna tighten all of that down, and then we're gonna do the same thing for the other side too. Next, we're just gonna drop in these plates. right like so. We're gonna secure that plate to the bumper with the button head bolts that have the captive washers on them, as well as a 10mm flange nut. To tighten those down, we'll just use this Allen key and a 10mm wrench. This Allen key does come included in the kit. We're gonna do the same exact thing on the other side as well. So now you can hold the bumper up, align the 2 holes on the bumper with the 2 holes on the mounting bracket. You can run this hardware through. This is the largest hardware included in the kit. We're going to align this bumper and then tighten the nut down with the 22mm socket. We're gonna hold the bolt still with a 21mm wrench. Now we're gonna come over and do the same thing for the other side. Next, we're gonna take care of our spare tire tube. We dropped this on earlier because basically you wouldn't be able to get this on otherwise. You wanna make sure you do that before the bumper is installed. Now, once we're at this position though, you can take the small button head bolts included in the kit. We're just gonna run those through from the outside just to clean up the looks a little bit. And we can bring in spare tire tube. Hold that still. And then on this side, you can install a flat washer, followed by a nylock nut. Now we're gonna hold that still on the outside with the Allen key we've been using. I'm just gonna press that up center. And this one on the outside you can get with the impact gun. You can use a 10mm socket to tighten this down. However, this one over here on the inside is a little bit more tricky. Since the tube is angled, you're gonna need to bring out the 10mm wrench for this one. Now, after that, you wanna make sure you remember to bolt down your bed. We're gonna use the original 18mm hardware for that. Now, one thing that is a little bit tricky here is that our new Barricade mounting brackets do not have the same cutout from the factory to allow you to get to that with just an extension. You're gonna need a U-joint as well, or if you don't have that, you can probably get to that with a socket and just a ratchet and turn it out here. In hindsight, it probably would have been a better idea to reinstall the bed before you put these brackets on. That would make it easier to just get straight up to that bolt with just an extension. We're gonna do the same thing for the other bed bolt as well, and then we're gonna go over to the other side and repeat this process. Now, one thing left, and in order to make this thing street legal, you have to install this license plate light. Now, it's gonna come with bare pigtails on the end, just like this. You can see that there's already a little bit of wire stripped back. You can basically do whatever you want with this thing. You can hardwire it in. In our case, we're gonna use these plug and play spade connectors. You can vampire clip these in if you want. This is really up to you, however you wanna wire this, whatever you wanna wire it into. But you want to make sure that this turns on when your truck turns on in order to make it street legal. So you want to make sure that there's a little bit of copper exposed there, and I'm just going to slide on our spade connector. Now, I don't have a wire crimper, so what I'm going to do is just crimp it down with the channel lock. One more extra squeeze. Gonna give that a pull to make sure it's nice and tight, and that is not going anywhere. We're gonna do the same thing for the black wire as well. So now we're gonna go over to our truck, and we already have the female side all connected up to that master plug that we disconnected earlier. Now, I can't speak to wiring. Again, your Silverado wire colors might be a little bit different. You just wanna make sure you're splicing into the right stuff in order to power this thing when it should be on. Now we can push the light through this lower hole in the bumper. And then we can plug in our quick disconnects on the other side. Guys, that is gonna do it for me. It's also gonna do it for the Barricade HD off-road rear bumper, fitting all 14 to 18 Silverado 1500s. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this one. Keep it right here at American Trucks for all things Chevy.